The Joe Rogan Experience.
Oh, we didn't even talk about your cult, dude.
Oh, all right, yeah.
Yeah, we forgot.
We have time?
Fuck yeah.
All right, good.
We have plenty of time. I
All
want
right,
to hear
good.
it.
I don't even know where to fucking begin.
So, when did you first become a part of the cult?
So I got sent away to this cult. It was like a cult boarding school.
How old were you?
I was 14. I just turned 14 in
Did your parents know what was going on, or did they think?
No, they had no idea.
What did they think it was?
They heard it was for a place for troubled kids to get some help. And then, yeah, they had no idea it was a cult.
Wow.
No
so
idea.
what was it?
It was...
Does it have a name?
Yeah, it's called CEDU. It was CEDU. And they called it that because you could see yourself how you want to be, and then you do something about it.
Damn, that sounds like something that like Tony Robbins would say.
Yeah. It used to be, I think it was created originally from something called Synanon, which I think is more well known. But it's,
that sounds like some cheesy, not Tony Robbins, but like a low level,
like a
online,
lesser
like motivational guy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What I want you to do is see and then do.
Yeah.
Sounds so simple, and it is for you. You're going to see what you don't like, and you're going to do something about it.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, my God.
Thanks for being here at the Hilton in Alhambra.
So this is pre-internet. You're 14 years old.
Yeah. 1993. I was a big cutter. I was living in Tarzana. I grew up in Tarzana. Yeah.
Ooh.
Big cutter.
What was that about?
I don't know.
Were your friends doing it?
No. I was doing it. My dad left, and then I started cutting. I kind of got, and then I was getting into fights at school, and I was punching holes in my wall. I was an angry kid, and so it was sort of an outlet, I guess. And then they kept sending me up to the Northridge psych ward. So I got sent away up to Northridge in the youth psych ward, and then
what did they say about you?
I don't remember specifically what they said. I think they just told my parents. They didn't tell me anything. I think they told my parents probably.
And your parents didn't like have a sit down with you and say, "Hey, psycho."
After the third time, yeah.
Look what the doctor says.
My mom didn't know what to do with me, but after the third time, they said, after the third time I got sent up to the psych ward, they said, if you do this one more time, anything else, we're going to have to send you away somewhere, more serious probably.
Whoa.
And so I did it again, and then we took a tour up to, they said we were just going to go up to take a tour of the school that I could be sent away to. That was it. They said, if you do it one more time, we're going up and we're going to tour this school. And if you do this one more time, then we're going to bring you back here and drop you off. You're going to stay there.
Wow.
And so we went up to the San Bernardino Mountains, and we got out of the car. I toured the campus. It was a beautiful campus. It was like this giant cabin up near Lake Arrowhead, and it used to be owned by the Houstons, Walter and Angelica and John Houston. And they were telling me, just about the school and stuff and all the rules. There were a lot of rules. They called them agreements. And then my parents, I came back and went and talked to my parents, and they told me that I was staying there. And I just said, well, fuck you. And then I left, and they strip searched me, and then and that was it. Then I went into what they call a rap, and raps are intense. So the rap was this 3-hour long kind of like a group therapy session, but everyone is just sort of, oh my God, it was so bizarre. So I had only been at the school two hours. I'd just been strip searched, and I'd been put into one of these 3-hour raps, and the girl next to me was like rocking back and forth on the chair, sort of like sobbing quietly. And then the kid next to me got up, walked across the room, and switched seats with someone, because you weren't allowed to talk to someone next to you. You had to be across the room. And that kid started screaming at the kid right next to me over here. And then this one just started screaming at the floor, and started screaming at the floor like, I hate you, Mom, I hate you, Dad. And then someone started putting all the this Kleenex, all these tissues and I'm like, why are they putting all these fucking tissues here? And then you just see all the snot and spit and mucus empty out of this girl's body, because she's just screaming, and blood vessels are popping in her fucking, and she's crying and screaming, and it was the most disgusting thing you've ever seen.
Fuck.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be here for 2.5 years, and this is going to happen 3 times a week. There was a lot of sleep deprivation. They had
what did your parents think it was?
They thought they were told by the counselors at the psych ward that it was like a place for troubled kids when you didn't know what else to do with them. And
so the like psych ward was in on it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. And so I think...
do you think they were fooled? Or do you think that they knew what was going on?
I think that maybe they were fooled. I think they were probably fooled. I don't think anybody really
This is pre-internet, right? It'd
yeah,
probably
this
be
is all
easier to fool people because you can't do a wiki on them.
Yeah, I mean the government finally shut them down.
So they were accredited though, or something. I mean,
yeah,
they were
I think
approved
so.
by.
Yeah. It had been, around, CETA was there for, I think, since the 70s, I want to say, or maybe even earlier, maybe the late 60s.
That's the scary
70s.
Ones.
Yeah.
The ones with legs.
Yeah.
You know?
But it was a really weird mix of students. It was like, I think Paris Hilton went there at one point, and then there was like just a lot of kids there on court orders, and there was, it was just a real weird mix of people.
Wow.
But they had these 24-hour, what they called prophets, and they were all named after a different chapter of the book called The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. You go through the program with a peer group. So everybody that was enrolled at the same time as you in the same 2 months, you go through these almost like these rites of passages called prophets, and there were these 24-hour-long workshops. And they're all based around each chapter of this book called The Prophet. And the first one was called The Truth, and it was like the truth will set you free. So you basically tell everything you've ever done that you felt bad about. And it's like confession almost. And what was odd is that all the staff members there were like 2 or 3 staff members who were the counselors at the school. They had no real credentials. They weren't like therapists, but they acted as therapists. But they all had fucked up lives too. And so, and some of them, and so some of them, like there were people that really got off on the power, like many cult leaders do. And then there were some that were former students there that were sent away for being bad kids. So there were staff members like confessing to, I heard one guy claimed that he set a homeless guy on fire. Another one would strangle cats.
Oh, Jesus.
And they're like, these are the fucking people that are teaching
fall
us?
asleep around a dude who used to strangle cats?
No, you couldn't fall asleep in the prophets. Right.
I mean, eventually.
I mean, I think they lived off campus.
Oh, okay. Fuck, man. That sounds insane.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
They all have that element in them. That's a Scientology element too, right? And then also Catholicism. You have to confess.
Right.
There's a thing that Scientology does where they go over all sorts of aspects of your life, and they like save that.
Yeah, I saw
save
that
all
in
those
the
recordings,
Master.
and then when you want to talk shit, they're like, "Oh, well, you thinking about leaving?" Hey,
oh,
bro.
fascinating.
Yeah, we're gonna tell everybody about that thing that you do with clowns.
I wonder why they would do it here then, because we had no power to, like, we were all underage.
Well, that's a different organization. Yeah, what they're doing is probably getting power over you. I mean, it seems like that's what those things are always about. They're always about power, and then it's usually the main dude's banging everybody's wife.
Right.
And they get a lot of money.
The teachers, there were teachers that were for sure banging the students. There's no doubt.
You didn't know going in that it was a cult. When do you think you figured it out?
Until a fucking 2 years after I had graduated.
Oh my God. So 2 years after it's all over, you're sitting around going, "Hey."
I think like I started talking to someone. They're like, "Didn't you think that was a little weird when they did this or that?" And I was like, "Now that you mention it, yeah. Wait a minute."
Oh my God.
Yeah, we had to do 14 days through Joshua Tree, which was beautiful, which was great. But then a 4-day solo where they give you like a bag of trail mix and some water and a whistle. And they say, all right, we'll come back in 4 days. But as a 14-year-old, it's like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was intense.
That's
but
crazy.
The worst
Where was this? Where are the woods?
In Joshua Tree.
That's a fucking sketchy area.
Yeah.
14 years old?
In the desert. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Where are we supposed to get your water?
You had a big bag of water that was
big bag of water for 4 days.
Water for 4 days.
How big is this bag?
I don't know. I can't.
You have your own bag?
Yeah. Yeah, you were alone. They give you an area about half the size of this room, the studio.
What?
And they say, all right, we'll come get you in 4 days. Here's 4 granola bars, a bag of trail mix, and a bag of water, and a whistle in case you get bit by a rattlesnake or some shit.
Oh, my God.
And then,
so where are they when this is happening? They're nowhere near you?
They said they were around, and I think they monitor you. So they probably saw a lot of beating off. 14 years old. I think I spent most of my days.
If I was a 14-year-old and I came up with a cult, that would be one of the rules.
What was the rule? No beating off?
No. I'd be like, you're going to all be by yourself for 4 days. You get 4 granola bars and a bag of water. Like, it sounds like something a 14-year-old would come up with as far as the rules.
It sounds like an episode of fucking Fear Factor.
And here's a whistle if you get bit by a rattler. I'll be over the top of the hill. You won't see me, but I'll be able to hear you. Like, that sounds like a 14-year-old.
I'll never forget, too, when we came out, they told us Kurt Cobain had just killed himself. It was 94. But I remember if you get in trouble, they put you on something called a full-time. And that was never fun because it was like you had no, it was the amount of time of the full-time was in the turn. So it was based on the staff member. It was either you ran away or you had sex with another student or I know.
That happened?
Yeah.
Kids are banging.
Not me.
In between snotty screams.
Yeah, a lot of primal scream therapy.
Bro,
they would,
so
but on a full time, like you wake up and you have to like try and dig out a stump that's been there since the 70s. No one was ever gonna fucking take it out. The biggest stump you've ever fucking seen. I remember when I got enrolled, the first thing I saw was a kid and a pickaxe, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Bro, that's why they have dynamite.
Yeah,
and you're supposed to dynamite those things.
Right. Well, they used it for full times, but you're not allowed to laugh or sing or no human contact. You can't talk to anybody for 3 weeks.
Oh my God, they're mind fucking.
That's how long I was. Yeah, they mind fucked you. There was something called smushing, where everybody, it was like you walk into this giant house every night, and everyone is telling each other their life stories. But it looked like, you remember Jonestown when like the 909 people had just drank the Kool-Aid?
Yes.
And it was just body on top of body? That's what it looked like. Everyone's just cuddling with each other.
Oh my God.
And it's like all the staff members are fucking rubbing hair of
Jesus
like the girls.
Christ.
You're like, this seems highly inappropriate with like girls, 13-year-old girls' head in their lap.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
it was trippy. But yeah, our buddy, Jeff Garland, put me in touch with this fantastic writer who writes a lot of episodes of Better Call Saul, and we're almost done with our pilot. We're going to pitch it in about a month.
I feel like that's one that's going to be fascinating to see how they play that narrative out. Like, whether they will show that kind of shit, like a 13-year-old girl in a guy's lap. Like, that seems like... you can't even do that.
We'll see.
You can't even do that in fiction. You know what I mean? You'd have to imply it.
That's a good point. Well,
even if
everybody's fully clothed.
The problem is it really happened, right? So it's not like it's fiction. Right. So if you were creating this kind of fiction, you're putting it out, people would be like, what? You sick fuck? Why did you even think of that? But you're not doing that.
That's true.
Yeah, you're relaying some crazy shit that you actually experienced. And how many years were you there for?
Almost 3.
Wow.
Yeah. Some of the exercises were crazy. They did this one called Lifeboat where they choose 2 students. I was one of the students they chose. And you're on a chair and you can only save 2 people. And all your best friends and shit are sobbing and they're like, oh, please pick me.
God.
And you have to look each person in the eye and tell them why they die.
What the fuck?
And then everyone had to write their own eulogy. It's fucking weird. A girl slit her own throat.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And another kid jumped off a cliff.
When they get into it in the first place, are they doing it because it's been done to them? Like some of them, clearly, right? Some of them seems like they were a victim of it.
The staff members, for sure. That's why I know the one who like set the homeless guy on fire. I know that for sure. That's why he did it. He got put through this bullshit. He was going to inflict it on somebody else.
Bro.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Garbage people. And then the craziest thing was maybe about 7 or 8 years after I graduated, a lot of kids would split. I split. You run away, but then you get caught, or you come back to the school once you find out your parents aren't going to take you out. But a lot of kids never came back, and that was just the fact to the kids. We don't know what the fuck happened to them. They would always tell us that the parents pulled them out of the school, some of the kids that ran away and never came back.
Oh.
But it was on the side of this giant, almost like a cliff, this backside of a mountain. And some kids would walk down into town through the road, and some kids, they said, would run away and go down the backside of the mountain. And they said some kids died going down the backside. Some kids got kidnapped. Who fucking knows? But I found out about 7 or 8 years after the club was closed, they found out that there was actually a serial killer that was working at the school. He was like the night janitor kind of guy, and confessed to murdering like a handful of kids that we thought ran away. And he got caught for something else, and then confessed to all these murders he had committed over the last decade. And 4 of them were kids while he was working up at the campus.
Holy shit.
Crazy. And that was while I was there, yeah. Bonkers.
Fuck.
Pretty wild.
So it took you a few years. Was it a relationship that you were in where a girl was explaining to you?
No, it was while I was talking to former students.
Oh.
And then it started opening my eyes, and I was like, oh, yeah.
So it wasn't talking to someone who wasn't in it.
Right.
It was talking to someone who was in it.
Yeah.
So together you were like going, hey, I've talked to some other people.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's not what 14-year-olds do.
Right.
Fuck, man.
And then when Facebook, it was even longer than that, because I think then when Facebook came out, then it was like there were all these groups, and everyone's like, yeah, we were in a cult.
In fact, once you got out and you realized you were out, and you talked to all the other people that were out too, and you all realized that you were out, how did it affect did you have to like remap those years in your head? Did you have to kind of think about what life is really like? It was
interesting because I got out when I was 16, so I had to go out. As soon as I got out, I had 2 more years of high school, so I got thrown at down the street at Taft. I went to Taft High School in Woodland Hills, and then yeah, did a couple more years there, but it was tough to get reacclimated, and then I didn't know, I had to retrain my brain almost. Like I felt like I knew. It was almost like I knew what they were trying to do. I almost felt like I was being brainwashed, and we were taught to self-police each other, and I may
so
have
it's like
had
North Korea style, like you rat each other out.
Yeah. Otherwise, they would put you on a full-time, and you'd have to fucking dig out a stump for 3
So when you
weeks.
say we were forced to self-police each other, were you forced to self-police yourself or other guys?
Ourselves and others.
Oh, okay. So you had to rat out people too.
You'd have to write a dirt list every week.
How do you recover? How do you go, hey, this is all bullshit?
I think it took some time. It took years, but I was one of the lucky ones. I was like, you know what? I did it. I took the positives. I was like, you know what? It wasn't all bad. I learned some tools, and if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I'm not the worst fucking guy in the world. So I made it out. I survived. Fuck it, right? There were a lot of people that wouldn't let go. They would just hold on, and to this very day, they hold on so tight to this bitterness and this anger, and they can't sleep at night, and all they think about is what they went through. They lost 3 years of their life. I do hate that. I do bummed out that I missed out those 3 years of
not if the script gets sold.
Yeah, that's true.
Come on, man.
That's true.
That's earned character.
Exactly.
That's like we're talking about with Joey Diaz. Like, you earned this.
I not only do I not regret it. There's many, many, many days, more days than not, that I wish I could go back and do it all over again. I swear to God.
Why?
I don't know.
Because it was fun. I bet.
There was camaraderie. Mm-hmm. There was it was like there was something about it. I didn't have to. I had all that other bullshit to worry about, but I didn't have to worry about a roof over my head, job, all the other bullshit that you have to worry about as an adult.
About prison.
Yeah,
You get
I'm
institutionalized.
Sure. Exactly.
Yeah.